everyone. Welcome to the Women Are Worthy show. Today, I have one of the most exciting guests. This woman is phenomenal. She doesn't know I'm saying this. So if you see her turn red and her head burst, it's because she's blushing. I have the fortune of having on the show Miss Irene Barton. She's the executive director of Cobb Collaborative. And for some of you who don't know what Cobb Collaborative is, we're going to go through it. This is going to be Cobb Collaborative 101. So let me share a little story with you. Irene, it's going to be fine, okay?
Okay.
You know, I wanted to start a nonprofit, and I've been hearing Irene, 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 Irene. I'm like, who in the heck is this Irene? So Cobb Collaborative obviously is in Cobb County, Georgia. So everywhere I go, I've been ducking Irene. I'm like, everywhere I go, I see Irene, I hear Irene. So I had the ability of being, and I want to say, I think it was the Powder Spring Task Force or the Austell Task Force, where I had the fortune of meeting her. And I'm like, I'm digging this lady. Not only was I digging her, she had a wealth of information. So I'm listening to her talk because her presentation skills was magnificent, right? And trust me, she was talking on a kindergarten level. Because normally when I'm talking to people and they're talking on the PhD level, which I can kind of get, but it gets wah 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 after a while. So what I realized, so now I have my nonprofit, but prior to that, I was, invited to a couple of meetings. Cobb Collaborative has a wealth of resources and information. You know, Irene is a veteran of public service. She's been doing this for years. She's aware of what the county needs, what people needs. And this is exactly what we're needing for someone, because I think a lot of nonprofits, when they become a nonprofit, they dissolve in a couple of years because they miss out on resources. They don't have people who can help them. And I'm here to tell you, I'm not getting paid for this. They're not sponsoring me. I'm telling you, if you're in Cobb County and you have a nonprofit, or you're thinking of having a nonprofit, your money is well spent with Cobb Collaborative. Look, guys, you know how I am with my coins, okay? These are hard times, but I promise you, this is something that you need to do. Cobb Collaborative is one of the best things that I myself had the fortune of joining. So without further ado, because you know when I love something, guys, I go on and on and on and on. I make it about me. But without further ado, I want to welcome Miss Irene Barton. Hi, Irene.
Hi, Jackie. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on the show today.
And thank you for being here. I want people to, can you please explain what Cobb Collaborative is and what you do at Cobb Collaborative, please?
I will do my best. So we are part of the Georgia Family Connection Partnership, and that is a statewide public-private partnership with the overall mission of improving outcomes for children and families across our state. So there's one of me in all 159 counties in Georgia. Little Georgia history lesson. There's 159 counties. So I focus on Cobb County, obviously. And while some of my counterparts throughout the state are actually doing direct services because there aren't the great partners and organizations that we know here in Cobb County, I don't have to do that. But what we focus on is capacity building and strengthening all of the members that we do have, whether you're a nonprofit, from the faith community, government, civic associations, healthcare organizations, and aren't they at the forefront of news these days? And so working on capacity building so that every organization can fulfill its mission and vision with the highest degree of confidence and integrity. And then we also encourage our members and prospective members and other organizations to come together and work on initiatives to, again, improve the outcomes for children and families in our community. We work primarily on 3 initiatives. That's our civic engagement, children's literacy, and mental health. Those seem kind of disparate, but they're all part of what we call social determinants of health. And focusing on one helps the other area, which helps the other area, so that we can have just vibrant communities and residents and individuals in Cobb County who are really fully invested and engaged in their community, which is how I initially met you at the task force meeting. We've been around for over 20 years. We were founded in the waning years of the 20th century, and in fact received a proclamation for our 20th anniversary from the commissioners back in 2017. So we've been around for 23 years now.
So what is it that you do? What is your, I said you're the executive director. So what does your title entails with what you're doing right now?
Mm-hmm. So I do a lot of designing the capacity building programs and activities that I talked about. And that entails reaching out to the community and seeing what the needs are. Here's a quick, for instance, the need for our members to switch from a in-person fundraising, whether that's a golf tournament or a luncheon or a gala or a casino night, to virtual fundraising. Several organizations said to me back in April and May, we're having to cancel our events, but we still have a need for fundraising and for unrestricted funds. Do you have anything? So I reached out to a nonprofit professional that I knew and said, can you come on and do a lunch and learn for us about virtual fundraising? So a lot of what I do is listen and respond to the needs of our members in terms of their ability to run their nonprofit, both from an operational standpoint, from the board of directors, volunteers, financial policies and procedures, mitigating risks, all those things. We also, I spend a lot of time working on leading those community initiatives that I referenced, where in collective impact speak, we would be considered the backbone organization of our children's literacy effort, and we're the local point of contact for the Get Georgia Reading campaign. So it's could be designing a logic model and then getting everybody to buy into that logic model, tracking their activities and the numbers and putting all of that together, making the case to potential funders about why they need to invest in this. So that's a large part of what I do. I do a lot of intentional networking, if you will. I'll meet someone and they say, that they're in the space of mentoring youth, say, in a particular city. And I'll say, well, do you know the school social workers assigned to that school? Or do you know this other organization? Or do you know this church in that community that's also doing the same thing? You might benefit from knowing them, and I'll facilitate an email introduction. And then, there's just a lot of communications. We were talking about branding and the importance of that. Making sure our communications, our front facing, our social media, our newsletter, our videos, all of that is all about supporting our work and what that work means for our members.
Well, what I want to say is, and I can attest to this, okay? Now, for those of you, I want you to listen to me carefully. I am now I'm enrolled without Irene knowing this. I'm actually in Cobb Collaborative University. And I'll tell you why, because I'm almost nervous. I'll call Irene and she gives me homework. When I mean homework, I'll say, Irene, can you please assist me with this? And I'll get emails, 15 to 30 things. And what I love about it, when she talks about networking, I cannot go anywhere in Cobb County and not see Irene. I can go to 4 meetings and I'm guaranteed to see Irene at 3. Okay. The fourth one may be of conflict of interest, and she has some conflicting, she's somewhere else. But it's It's amazing. So what I want to tell people is you're constantly out in the community. So it's not like you're just sitting in the, I'm just so excited talking about you. It's not like you're in the office and you're taking phone calls. You do that as well. But you're out in the community. You see the
Mm-hmm.
community. You're doing all of the cities in Cobb County. And I want people to understand that because it really, it's a special place in my heart, your community, your company, your organization, because so many nonprofits are underserved. They have no idea. And some may not be aware of Cobb Collaborative. And this show, I'm definitely going to make sure I blast it all over because I want people to understand that we do have resources because I didn't know this existed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I left corporate America and then I kept hearing, you know, when you got on board, Irene Barton, Irene Barton, Irene Barton, Irene Barton. And I'm like, okay, Irene. And then I met you at the task force, and you were so committed about literacy. You asked for books. And I'm telling you, when she's in those meetings, she may seem calm, cool, and very quiet. What I am going to say is she is very passionate about the literacy. She's very passionate about civic engagement, and let's not talk about mental health because she's very passionate about that. So those are the things that they're focusing on. So I want everyone, again, I'm going to continue saying this. If you have a nonprofit, if you're thinking about having a nonprofit, think about this. When you decide to have a business, you have a business coach, or you should have a business coach or a mentor. When you get your business, you got to get a business license. So consider this a license that you need to get. But not only are you just getting a piece of paper or you're part of a membership, you're part of a family because you all come together, you sit down, and she encourages collaboration. Irene, I don't think I need you on the show. I could do this
Yeah,
myself.
I think so. You're doing a better job.
No. And she encourages collaboration. It's not one of those things where you're part of the company and you can't talk to anyone. So, I mean, I'm curious about this. What made you want to get into the nonprofit world?
um, yeah. So I was very fortunate when my children were born, and our daughter is 20. So it's been a minute. She was born in 2000, and our son was born in 2002. I was very, very fortunate that my husband's position allowed me to leave corporate America, like you did, and stay home with them for the first couple of years before I went back to work part-time. I was in corporate banking. I can't say that I loved it, but it was good money. And, but I had no desire to return to that really. And so when my daughter started kindergarten at the public elementary school down the street from us, I again was fortunate because I was only working part-time to be able to have some time to volunteer in her classroom. And, I was there like many moms, you go because you're concerned about your child and you just want to help the teacher and all of that. But I don't know, something clicked inside of me. And I, of course, was concerned not only about my daughter, but about the child next to her at the table, all the children at the table, all the children in the classroom, all the children in the school. And that really launched my involvement in PTA, which is the nation's oldest and largest children's advocacy association, not the fundraisers of selling wrapping paper and cookies, but advocacy and speaking up for children, because children are not heard. They don't have money and they don't vote. So they often get overlooked. And if you don't have a parent who's in a position or a caregiver who's in a position to speak up for you, then sometimes your outcomes are not going to be as good. And so I just really developed a passion for that. And that led to other getting involved in other things and sitting on some boards in the community, usually always with a youth focus. I'm kind of nerdy, in case you couldn't tell. And I really like the policy end of things, like, how public education in Georgia is funded, started interacting with policymakers, elected officials at the local and state level. and was really doing all of that on a full-time, not paid basis. And I would have a part-time job for a few years and then take a gap year, as I said.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, 3 years ago, when our daughter was entering, both children were going to be in high school, I was like, you know what, I am just ready for something more structured. And I saw the opportunity with the collaborative to join as the resource manager. I had attended meetings as a member and thought what they did was really cool, and thought I could lend something to it. And the initial interest areas about growing membership and retaining membership and developing advocacy tools and communicating, I was like, heck, I'm doing all of that and I love it.
Right.
So I can't say that like I had this particular experience that led to this. While I come from a very modest background, I have to say that like I have never experienced true hunger in my life, or, at the risk of being homeless. I mean, I don't have that story and I can't apologize for it. I was very blessed. Again, a very modest background, but I was the first person in my family to go to college, and I'm very proud of that. But it's just something inside of me that just clicked. So.
For advocacy.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest position change you've seen in the county?
From like elected officials perspective?
Yes, from the elected from that, and also globally locally, since you have taken over the reign.
I see an increasing diversity in our policymakers. And while it may not be reflected in every level, at the federal or at the local and state level, we have seen some changes. For instance, the Cobb delegation flipped from a Republican majority to a Democrat majority after the 2018 election. And I think that reflects the fact that Cobb is purplish, as they say, which, I'm not here to be partisan at all, right, because as a nonprofit executive, I cannot be. But I think that means that more people are engaged in their community, and they are choosing to connect with local officials, choosing to be involved, whether it's speaking at city meetings, county meetings, school board meetings, and they are choosing to vote. And I think we will continue to see that. I don't know if it will intensify, but I think we'll see that same trajectory in the November elections. So, and okay, I think our policymakers have realized that they have to be responsive to the needs of the community.
Well, I mentioned earlier on why I joined the collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please give us, maybe 3 key points on why someone who has started a nonprofit, why they should join the collaborative?
Because being a nonprofit executive, whether you are paid or full-time volunteer, is hard work, and you shouldn't do it alone. You need to be in the family. So it's hard work, and you need resources. 2, you can't do it. You can't do it alone. There's no nonprofit that just exists in an ivory tower and can fulfill their mission without interacting with other organizations. And so you're going to be in a better position to leverage your resources and be sustained if you interact with other people. So it's hard work. You're able to interact with other people. And 3, I would say it's probably the least expensive investment that you can make with the biggest return. Our fees are very modest. It's $50 a year for a smaller nonprofit that's with a staff of 5 or less. And that allows us to do all this programming that I have referred to. We don't typically charge, a per session fee or anything like that. And so I think it's just a small investment that will yield great benefits to you from the knowledge and the education and the contacts that you will have.
Now, since you've been doing this, what is one of the best success story you've witnessed or you've heard? regarding Cobb Collaborative and how you've helped a nonprofit?
So I will use Auto Gift Philanthropy. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they wonderful organization that gifts reliable transportation to low-income single women, so they can continue to get to work, to get their children to school or activities. And of course, we're assuming, that the world will return to normal at some point in time, right? And so they do a great job. They don't interact with the client directly, but they interact with the referral agency who serves as the client's advocate. So I've been able to introduce Auto Gift to our school social workers in Cobb, to other nonprofits in Cobb, who often are serving that clientele, or that population, to schools like Chat Tech and all that often have single mothers in school who are trying to achieve a certificate or an associate's degree or something like that to give their family, different experiences and better experiences. And so it's, I never thought that going and watching somebody receive a car could be a tear-inducing experience, but it really is. I mean, reliable transportation in our county is a game changer for families. Yes, we have public transportation, but it's not as robust as it needs to be. And so seeing those women receive the car and the car maintenance book and the keys, and they put a red bow on top, it is very, very powerful. And to think that, that happens, I don't want to say just because, but because of email introductions, phone calls, social media, messaging, all of that. So one example of changing people's lives, families' lives, and really you had no idea until then.
Wow. Irene, because I'm thinking when you're doing working as an executive for a nonprofit organization, how do you, because I'm always talking about balancing, how do you turn it off? How do you turn it off?
I think that's something that all of us struggle with, right? These days, and particularly, with the C word, COVID, we all feel, the self-care that everybody has been talking about during this time is so important. The analogy of when we used to be able to fly on planes, and I know you still can, but hardly anybody is the oxygen mask, take care of yourself first before you assist your children or others, is so true. Find something you like and invest just a few minutes every day in yourself. I get up between 5:30 and 6 to exercise every day, or just about every day. That's like time with me. I plug in my headphones, I listen to NPR, and that gets me charged for the day. I check email at night, and sometimes I'm working on grants at night because it doesn't seem like I have a block of time during the day to do that. I did make a New Year's resolution that I was going to set aside time to do the work and not be at so many meetings. And unfortunately, haven't been able to be at very many meetings this year. And I do miss that, because just being out in the community and interacting with people is, it's fun. It's invigorating. You find out what's going on, and you do feel connected. So I don't know. Hope I answered that question.
And that's what I like, because for me, it's great. We can have all these Zoom meetings. Unfortunately, with the Zoom meetings, you're spending more time on Zoom that you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, another meeting. But I like the person to person, where it just does something to me. I mean, I don't think my personality shines much when I'm doing this. I think it's more when I'm in front of people, so like you, what I'm doing now is, I got a bike, And I have my husband, he's going to mount my bike rack on the back of my car so I can
Okay.
go riding. I can
Yeah.
listen to my affirmations in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm home more instead of the studio, I'm spending more time on the computer and I'm noticing, so I'm trying to make sure I'm balancing myself. So anywhere between 5 to 6, I'm going to be riding my bike, and
Great.
I'm going to be bringing my jump rope with me because I'm going to be jumping rope in the park and
Okay.
asphalt and do some yoga poses. So, I don't know what I'm going to look like doing, stand, what is it? The dog, downward dog. But I'm going to
Facing
be
dog.
doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah, because I didn't gain a third. It's COVID-19. I probably gained COVID-14.
Oh
So
no.
so I'm trying to balance myself with meditation and just
Mm-hmm.
not work, because I can get consumed with work. So
Yeah.
I'm just doing the woosah. So now what I want to know, I always ask women on the show about this. How important is it that women support each other, and why should they?
So important, right? So important. Not to discount. I will be the first one to say my husband of 28 years is a saint to put up with me, and he is my best friend without a doubt. But that connection with your women friends, with your girlfriends, and I think keeping that balance, like I like the fact that not everyone in my friend circle is a middle-aged mother with teenage children, but to get different perspectives. And it's so coincidental that you asked me about this, Jackie, because last night we had book club for the first time in person. We met at someone's neighborhood and we sat outside and we were socially distanced. It was the first time we were able to meet in person since February. I guess we've been doing it virtually for March, April, May, and June. And we've been doing this for 18 years. I was hugely pregnant with my son, who will be 18 in September, when we started this 18 years ago. And yeah, a couple of people have moved. A couple of people have joined over that 18 years. But the core group of us, there's like 6 of us, we have been there for each other. We have had high school graduations. We have lost parents, me included, during that time. We have, seen spouses go through rough periods in their jobs. Some of us have gone back to work full time or transitioned, had a career switch. And so that energy and those relationships that we have are so vital to just making you feel connected with other people and other experiences. And and I think it adds to the relationship that you have with your significant other, right? Because you go out in the world, you interact, you gain perspective, you broaden your perspective, you learn, you grow, and then you come back and that feeds your relationship with your spouse, your significant other, because you have these outside experiences to build upon. And the women's perspective is just so vital. It's such an important piece of that.
And I can say for me, the career that I chosen was male dominated. And I was, basically plucked out and told that I need to do something with women. I'm very spiritual. So God told me this is what I need to do. And I'm like, I don't want to work with women. I've been seeing all the stuff and hearing. Now, I didn't have bad interaction myself, but I would see or hear my friends and who are guys talking about their wives and the wives' girlfriends. I says, oh Lord, I don't want to work with women. No, I don't want to do it. And he's like, you're going to do it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't care what you say. I'm not doing it. So he forced my hand and I had to do it. And can I say, and that's how Women Are Worthy was created. I didn't wake up one morning and had epiphany and like, oh my God, I want to work with women. No, that's not what happened. He pushed me on my butt. And then, this is what happened. And can I say, I love my women. That's why if you're positive and if you're all about sharing, creating, collaborating, and not competing, because one of the things I tell people, we're all in the same book, just different chapters. I'm all about, completing with you. I'm all about collaborating. I'm not here to compete with anyone other than myself. So it's a tribe that we've created where we love each other, we support each other, and this was. I mean, why did I doubt God? Why didn't He do this earlier? And I just love positive women such as yourself, because every time I see you, you're smiling, you're helping people, and to be honest, I've been watching your moves from behind, and I just love what you're doing. You have so many positive people. I posted it out there. So many people email me, text me. Oh my God, we love Irene. Oh my God, we love
Oh, that's so
Irene.
sweet.
So you are well respected in the community. Now, what piece of advice would you give someone who wants to start a nonprofit? They're thinking about it. They're not sure. Other than joining Cobb Collaborative, what advice would
Um,
you give them?
maybe don't do it. No. Think long, think hard. Um, all joking aside, I would volunteer with an organization that is in the space that you want to be in to make sure that it's really something that you want to do long term. I would also make sure that you're not entering a space that's already crowded. I do talk to people and they'll have formed a nonprofit and say, well, I know I'm going to be able to get grants. Funding is very difficult to come by. You have to have a story, and you have to be able to communicate to a funder what their investment will mean. It's never about your needs. It's about what their investment can mean to others. So I would say be cautious. I would recommend looking at, once you identify I don't want to say competitors, but the other organizations that are in the space that you want to be, whether it's mentoring or homeless or working with foster youth or, supplying children with school supplies or whatever. Once you identify some of those names, look at their 990s, which you can do. That's public knowledge through GuideStar, and see who funds them. And try to get a feel for the funding landscape that's out there. How are you going to sustain that? I would talk to people ahead of time to comprise your board of directors. You have to submit your board when you file your paperwork, as you well know. But make sure that they're people who aren't just saying yes because they don't want you to bug them anymore, and really they have no intention of helping you fundraise, helping you tell your story. So be very intentional when you build your board. Make sure you have a cross section of people with different skills. And I will say diverse. That's not just skin color. That is age, that is experience, that is talents and skills. And make sure that they are really committed to your cause as well, and that they will walk that journey, particularly if you're going to be an all volunteer group at first. Of course, board members are volunteers, but if you're not going to really have any staff to carry on the work that the board is going to recommend and put in the strategic plan, I would, other than connect with the collaborative, go through, we offer great training, but there's other organizations that offer training as well. And make sure that you're going to be in a position to keep your books and records, that you are detail oriented, because it's all going to be up to you to take care of all of that stuff. Are you filing with the Secretary of State? Are you purchasing your insurance? Are you, do you know how to create a budget? Do you have someone to help you with QuickBooks? Or are you going to keep your finances in Excel? Do you have someone who can help you with your banking relationship? So So think
Well,
long and hard.
yeah, and I didn't make the announcement, and I'm going to do a press release that I have now have a nonprofit, and I'm so excited. It's called Women Are Worthy Leadership. I'm always saying leaders. It's Women Are Worthy Leadership, and we're going to be focused on things with regarding perinatal care, and a lot of these moms are, dying because of not getting, the assistance they need in the hospital and when they get discharged, and so I'll just send that out. I'm just so excited about that.
Yes.
And Irene, again, I told you, look, I'm done with school, but Irene has been so gracious when I reach out to her, that she sent me so much information that on Sundays I'm in school. And again, it's called Cobb Collaborative University. So I'm going over things, reviewing things, making notes. And mind you, I have my streaming show that I do. I'm mentoring. I'm working on the cooking show. So it's just a lot, but I just love listening to you, and I think we have that in common. I love being a servant. And I didn't like using that word when I left corporate America. I'm like, servant? No, what are you talking about? But you are a servant because you're helping other people, and it's to help them to aspire to be greater. So I love what you're doing, and what Cobb Collaborative has definitely opened up my eyes to a lot of things. And I want to thank you for that. Here's the next question: what's your favorite book that you've read? And I also want to know, what book are you reading now? And I'm asking that because I've gone a lot of places in and out of the country. My favorite place, don't tell anyone. My favorite place to unwind is in the library, because as you see, I do so much talking. So when I'm in the library, you can't talk. I'll get one of the rooms. Heck, I'll rent one of the rooms just for me, and I'll have, because at night my husband's like, why are there 5 books on the bed every night? Because I just love reading. The digital stuff I don't like. I like to have the book and smelling the toxic paper.
Me too. Yeah.
I just love that.
Yep.
So, what book are you reading, and what's your favorite book?
Well, I know this is going to sound planned, and truly, it's not. My favorite book of all time is To Kill a Mockingbird. I read it in high school and loved it, and watched the movie and all of that. And then several years ago, our book club, it was my turn to choose, and I chose it. And reading it as a parent was a totally different experience. And I never read the follow-up one, something about the Watchman, because I didn't want to think of Atticus Finch in any other way other than my ideal of him. And then it's totally ironic, but when we adopted our foster dog, she came with her name, which is Harper. And when they said, you can change the name, I'm like, oh no, it's perfect. It is in so many ways. This is the perfect dog for our family, including her name. So, and then I haven't started a new book because, as I mentioned, our book club just met last night. And so just on, what was yesterday? Tuesday? So just on Monday, I finished Just Mercy. And the book, that was made into a movie. And the main character, the main story of justice done wrong is set in Monroe County, Monroeville, Alabama, where Harper Lee lived, and where they have the To Kill a Mockingbird Museum and all of this. And so literally it was just so coincidental. And I know that sounds planned about my two, the book that my favorite book, and then the one I just finished reading. But truly, and if the listeners here, if you have not read Just Mercy, and I'm like you, Jackie, I am tactile. Oh, I like to smell, touch. We're the only family on our block that gets 2 newspapers. Because I like to literally touch a newspaper as I'm eating my cereal in the morning. And I have 2 more books from the library. I'm so glad they opened back up so I could get my holds that I'll be starting. And One is about, gosh, I forget the title of it, but it's something about race relations, white fragility or something like
Yeah,
this. It's something of, is that the name of it? It's something about basically why white people can have a hard time admitting that they're racist. And I hope it makes me a little bit uncomfortable and continues to open my eyes as to, any biases and prejudices that I have. So very much in this space right now.
What book would you recommend for someone opening up a nonprofit? One, and I'd like you to recommend another book for someone regarding leadership. What two books would you recommend? One for nonprofit wise, and the other because when you're an executive director to your nonprofit, you are a leader, and
Yeah.
people need coaching. And if you can't afford coaching, maybe there's a book that you can recommend.
Yeah, you know what? I may fail you on this one. I am not one to read a lot of things about leadership and
Okay.
things like that. I kind of I really am a gut kind of person. What feels right. I have a list of them that um, I will I did read something recently. It's not necessarily about leadership, but the likability trap, it was called, and it's great for women to read because it's all about how maybe we are not achieving all that we want to achieve because we're so concerned about being liked. I don't think it was really intended for someone who's my age. I would say more someone who's younger in their
Like
maybe.
a millennial, like the millennial.
Yeah. I would say, this Gen X, I was not the target audience for it. But I think it was really good in terms of, just opening up some, things about don't worry so much about being liked. Do the job and the rest will fall into place. So I'm going to sort of mush the two together.
Okay.
But I would, as a nonprofit, and I mean, there are so many good things. And there's a lot of good podcasts that you can listen to as well about branding and telling your story. And
Can you name one? Can you name a couple or one? Getting a nonprofit, it's not easy. And you just have to have, you have to make sure, what I'd like to remind people is get everything in order first. Like start pitching to your board members, and don't just get your best friend. Get someone who can
Right.
bring something to the table.
Yeah.
Make sure, fundraising, someone who can do the marketing, and more importantly, grant writing is very important. So make sure you can get people, figure it out in your brain, because then you have other people who just want to say they're part of the board. And I want to say something while Irene is going through that. One of my favorite nonprofits I have out there, near and dear to my heart, is Loving Arms Cancer Outreach Center. Shay Michael and Janet Graham are one of my two favorite people, when it comes to Loving Arms. It's a cancer outreach center that's in Cobb County, and they donate, you sign up, you come to the meetings, and I haven't been there in a while, but I'm one of the people that massage the survivors when they come in. It's not just for women, it's for women and men. You have it's not breast cancer, it's all forms of cancer. You come in, we do, we meditate with the lights off, we're massaging you while the lights are off, and I'm bringing my oils and massaging you. I'm asking if you have a port, because I want to make sure I'm not massaging you too roughly since you're wearing a port. And I mean, they're in heaven. And I really get so bad that they don't love me anymore. They want my hands. They're like, where are your hands, Jackie? I can be massaging the women and their eyes are closed, and I can come in and they're like, I bet you that's Jackie. They know my massage. And it's like, it's just amazing. And I just love one-on-one with these women, and we play wonderful music, serene music, and we're the gonging, and we're verbally talking through the meditation. It's guided meditation. Then we stop. Then the music is playing, and then I'm massaging them, and it's just amazing. It's to the point where, okay, Jackie, stay here. Don't go anywhere. Just massage us. Did you find the name of the podcast?
I did. It's
Okay.
Story Brand with Donald Miller. And he has a couple of ones that are specific for nonprofits. And I thought those were very good. So
By
Storybook.
Donald Miller.
Mhm.
I'm typing that in. Okay.
It has a green background, and yeah. So
And it's on with Spotify, YouTube.
yeah, it's on. Yeah.
It's okay.
So
Okay. Now, so you mentioned that. So that's one that people need to look at when it comes to branding and things
mhm.
towards nonprofit. Okay.
Mhm. Um, you know, for other sorts of things, I mean, there's a lot of TED Talks. Of course, the famous one, Find Your Why, and that sometimes it's good to just go back to that and listen to it, because I think we often get caught up in the what we do. We're hosting workshops, we're hosting lunch and learns, we're inviting all these people, and then our attendance is up, our membership is up. That's great, but it's important to always circle back to the why.
Right. And I've
Yeah.
downloaded TED Talks on my phone, and I'm
Mhm.
a big YouTube person. And, so I'm trying to manage my time where that's why when I go into the library, there's no busy noise. I can
Mhm.
actually focus on what I need to focus on. So, Irene, if they want to get in touch with you, I did put it in the chat room, in the
Okay.
chat box. How can they get in contact with you? What are your hours? Well, now there's COVID, they're in the hours, but how can they email you,
Mhm.
contact you, for someone wanting some advice and being a part of the nonprofit?
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever you're most comfortable with, email or give me a call. My email address, I think Jackie's including this, is ibarton@cobbcollaborative.org. And we're all our contact information is also on our website, which is cobbcollaborative.org. You can sign up for our newsletters there, if you would like. And you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I think that's it. We have a YouTube channel, so check out some of our videos that Madeline, our great communications director, has created. And my phone number is 678-766-5574. I probably won't answer after, say, 6 or so, because I do like to, well, sort of cook, or at least say that I'm spending time with my family.
So she's trying to tell you guys she has a life.
Yeah.
That's the thing. She's trying to cultivate a life. So
Yeah, exactly.
boundaries.
But whichever, and that's also a cell phone, so you can text to that as well. So, I mean, I love meeting people. My favorite meetup places are closed right now, Chick-fil-A and Starbucks, but I dream of the day when I can go get a big old iced tea from Chick-fil-A and sit inside.
Right.
But we are going to attempt to hold our quarterly coffee in August in person here at the Tillman House. In the midst of all this craziness, I moved my office from the Mansour Center, which is where I was, to the Tillman House in Smyrna.
Okay.
So we're very near
Where's the Tillman House? Where is that?
It's near the intersection of Concord Road and South Cobb Drive.
Okay.
So, and it's about a mile from the big church, Smyrna First United Methodist Church. So it's a community mission of Smyrna First United Methodist. So we have a nice big room that we are going to attempt to hold our quarterly coffee in August in person. We will require, I don't know if I can do that, but we will require people to wear masks and socially distance, and we'll make sure there's only like one person pouring coffee and things like that. And our sponsor, Sandy from the Insurance Connection, is excited about that, and I'm looking forward to seeing people. So we will limit it. So if you're interested, go ahead and sign up. We opened up the registration. So I hope that we reach that number and then don't have to turn anybody away, and that everybody feels healthy that day to come on out. Really also hope our numbers start going the other way.
Right. Ugh. Well, Irene, I want to first of all thank you for being part of the village and constantly supporting me, constantly, I'll send one email, then I'll send another one when I could combine the email. So I want to thank you for tolerating that.
Oh, it's okay.
And you are just a blessing for Cobb County. I want to thank Irene Barton. She's the executive director of Cobb Collaborative. And want to thank everyone for tuning into the Women Are Worthy show. Don't forget to like and subscribe, like and follow us on the Women Are Worthy show on Facebook and Instagram. Our YouTube channel is the Women Are Worthy Network. Irene, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you because I know you're busy. You probably have 50 million phone calls while we were doing this show. So I want to thank you for being just the person that you are. And thank you for rescuing our nonprofit, and because we're going to the top. So we want to thank you for what you're doing. Okay.
Thank you.
Have a great week, everyone. And don't forget to tune in at 6:00. We're going to have the blind blogger on, Mr. Maxwell Ivy. Maxwell Ivy, he's the blind blogger. Thank you very much. Bye, guys. See you later.